Hi everyone, my name is Corey Hudson. I live in Hartford, Connecticut. I moved here in March of this past year. I have worked in the human services field for about 10 years now and found my way into that work through the peer kind of movement, using my lived experiences with substance use and mental health issues to kind of open the doorway for me to be a supporter and to accompany others who are experiencing similar issues. I worked in a variety of capacities, kind of harnessing that certification, primarily focused in wellness and kind of holistic practices, helping people to practice and develop skills of different self-regulating techniques, different practices of self-care, different alternatives to kind of enhancing their overall well-being, despite some of the challenges that they were facing and some of the different environments that they were moving through, whether it's a transitional housing program or some sort of inpatient program or what have you. So I'm grateful for that work, because I think that ultimately is what led me to social work, recognizing that in order to kind of be able to do more, that I needed more qualifications behind my name and behind my experience. So, but I also think that it kind of dovetails really well into social work and a kind of human-centered, person-centered model, and being able to accompany people in their pain, their challenges, their grief, their perspectives, their strengths, their sometimes deficits or areas that need further development or need resources or additional support, in such a way that it's not coercive, it's not authoritarian, it's not sort of an inferiority power dynamic, but really kind of meeting people where they're at and being able to partner with them and moving towards their goals and their healing, whatever that looks like for them. So I'm grateful for that. What I'm hoping to kind of gain from this course is to, I think, take what this course has to offer, and as I'm integrating it, kind of apply it to different settings, different environments, programs that I've worked within over the last 10 years, and to kind of conceptualize it in that way, to have something kind of tangible to apply it to, and to kind of use that to kind of integrate evaluation and assessment into the continued work that I hope to do in this field. And I think one of the things that I've recognized that seems to kind of be echoed throughout my education so far, and something that I think is lacking in program-related work, service-related work, caregiving work, is that oftentimes the kind of target population, the community who is being provided services, are left out of the development of that programming, and are sometimes left out of process of kind of recognizing whether or not it's actually effective. And I think that even ties into public and federal policies that are sometimes aimed at alleviating suffering or closing gaps, but do little to really improve the lives of people who are kind of the most marginalized, or the kind of the most vulnerable folks within those populations. So I think it's going to be really valuable. I don't consider myself to be somebody who's really driven to look at quantitative data. I'm more of a qualitative type person, but I think that sounds like that has value in this setting as well. So hoping to be able to utilize that. And yeah, I think it's going to be, it's going to be a learning experience. I don't know that any of us are coming into this as experts. So I'm open to learning. I'm open to fumbling through it, and I think the goal obviously is to learn. As I'm warming up for the semester, and I think back to human service program that I have some familiarity with, one in particular comes to mind that I worked at for a brief period. I knew within a couple weeks of stepping into the role as a program manager that I had made a mistake in not seeing the kind of physical facility before I came, and not better kind of interviewing the person who was ultimately going to be my supervisor. I think I would have recognized if I had kind of delved into those two areas more closely, that it would not have been a good fit. So I think what stands out to me is it was a hospitality center, which, for those of you that may be unfamiliar with the concept of a hospitality center, it's basically kind of a place where the folks who are experiencing homelessness or are unhoused for, sort of whatever duration, to whatever degree, have access to get some of their basic needs met, whether that's to, take a shower, whether it's to do laundry, whether it's to come in out of the cold, maybe speak to a social worker, maybe connect to someone who can help them to apply for Social Security benefits, or apply for a housing voucher, or participate in some other sort of community program or in-kind service that passes through. And I think the concept is great, the idea was great. I envisioned sort of a large sort of cafeteria-like open space that had offices, that had tables, that was spacious, that was, I think, more conducive to the volume of people that we were trying to serve in this particular neighborhood, and was more conducive to privacy, to trauma-informed care, and to really making people feel more human, sort of a more humane experience. And it was anything but that. It was basically an old retail shop on the first floor of an old apartment building that was divided in two sections by a stairwell that ran up to the second, third, and fourth floors. And the amount of space was just very tight. There was obviously a lot of people trying to, particularly in the winter months while I was working there, either just warm up and take some shelter, and to kind of have a sense of respite for a period during the day. And there were others who were wanting to kind of engage in services that we just didn't have the capacity to connect them to, because the services were intermittent, they weren't staffed on a full-time basis. And the team that I had to work with consisted of a volunteer coordinator who had a limited capacity. She was suffering from long COVID and some other respiratory issues, and really physically was not able to perform the job, and relied heavily on the volunteers who were unhoused folks themselves that were trying to kind of be of service and have a place to be and have some meaning and purpose. And so it made it really difficult and unreliable or unpredictable to be able to day-to-day function in the space, and for me to kind of do what I needed to do in order to enhance the program and to grow the programming. So I think it would have benefited from some evaluation. I know they were trying to make improvements by trying to install tablets to kind of eliminate some of the paperwork and tracking what services people were there to utilize and whether or not they were utilizing them. who was utilizing them so we could measure some outcomes. But yeah, physically the space and staffing wise, I think that they were just so limited. And it seemed like my supervisor, the assistant executive director who was overseeing a variety of programs in addition to this, was burned out. She seemed threatened by, me kind of wanting to take some autonomy and to make some decisions. And, it became she became kind of an unnecessary obstacle in an already challenging environment that was riddled with needs that, we just didn't have the resources and the bandwidth to meet, unfortunately. So it was a really valuable experience. I think that in a lot of ways is almost an extension of my practicum last year, because it provided me with, a very kind of time limited experience, but also a very, very valuable one. So yeah, I think some questions that I would want to, answer about the program is, is it meeting the needs of the folks who are utilizing it? And if it's not, what are their ideas? The folks who are needing those services, what solutions do they have? Because I think they are positioned to have a very clear understanding of where the gaps are and what's missing and what could be incorporated to create a better experience and to improve services. And I think people sometimes who are in the field and in positions of power think that they have the best ideas and kind of bulldoze through getting feedback as to what might actually work, and considering that the folks who are in the position to receive services are the experts in that scenario. So that's what I think so far. And of course I have other organizations that I've worked for, other capacities that I think can reflect on as well. And even entering into this new practicum experience, I'll be kind of paying attention to how I may be able to contribute, whether or not some of these tools and analyses are already in place, and if so, how could they be improved upon? So I think that this is going to be very valuable, and I'm looking forward to it. Thanks.